Welcome, friends and listeners, Brandon Inquisitors. I'm Jake.
And I'm Jax. We're your Cosmere conversationalists. Join us this week as we dive into the Coppermind.
Into the Coppermind, indeed. Chapters 10,
11, and 12.
10, 11, and 12.
Yep. Back into Elantris.
Yes, sir. How was your reading this week?
That's good. Serena's chapter was a bit long, lots of dialogue.
Yeah, it was like 20 pages or something.
Yeah. Raoden's chapter was
Good.
a good length, and I really feel like, and it's weird because listening to the audiobook, I don't get this, but Raoden's chapters are short.
Yeah.
And I just like, but like it's still so pivotal to the story, but it's just a shorter narrative.
Yeah. I don't know if that'll be constant throughout the whole book, but he does have shorter chapters than Raoden. Well, sometimes Serena's chapters are short, but yeah. Raoden usually has the longer chapters. Anyways. Yeah. So sweet. Reading was good. Research was good.
How was your week?
My week was not the best. I'm not gonna lie.
Jake threw his back out this week, so he took a couple days off of work.
Yeah, so I've been home, which gave me plenty of time to research and post TikToks.
That's great.
Yeah.
If you guys aren't following us on TikTok yet, go ahead and head over to our TikTok page and follow us over there. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of followers by the end of July.
Yep, that's the little goal we set for ourselves. Hopefully we could do it. I think we just hit 400 today.
Yep.
So slowly growing. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Welcome back to another week of Into the Coppermind. We I think we're just gonna get into it unless there's anything else.
Yeah, one thing, we have chatted about the length of our episodes. We've been trying to get our episodes down to a point where we could do it all in one part. But if we're gonna do that, we want it to be less than an hour and a half to keep it into one part. And with us doing 3 chapters every week, we just haven't managed to do that in under an hour and a half.
So we've talked about maybe only doing 1 or 2 chapters, but with the way Elantris is written and the triads they do, it just doesn't feel right.
No.
Splitting up the triads. So I think we're just going to keep doing 3, and Elantris might just have to be 2 parts every week.
Yeah, 2-part episodes every week.
Until we hit Mistborn.
Yep.
And then we can choose.
Yeah, I think once we hit Mistborn, we won't have a set number of chapters every week. We'll probably just do, anywhere between 45-minute to hour and a half long episodes, and however many chapters we can get through in that time, that's how many chapters we'll do that week.
Yep, I agree. Okay.
Hey guys, this is your spoiler warning for this episode. In this episode, we talk about Elantris, Mistborn Era 1, and Stormlight Archive. Back to the pod.
Chapter 7.
Coolio. Here we go.
Chapter 7, I mean Chapter 10.
Yep, that is correct.
The Aeon at the heading of Chapter 10 is Aeon Ini, which we've seen before in Serena's name, meaning wit and wisdom.
Yep, wit and wisdom, which I think we've agreed that the Aeons at the beginning of each chapter don't typically don't
correlate,
anything to do with the chapters themselves. I couldn't really find anything.
No, me either.
I think I'm going to stop looking.
Fair enough.
But, yep.
But for those of you watching on YouTube, this is the Aeon right here.
That's the Aeon. It kind of looks, when I first saw it, I thought of like a beetle.
Okay.
It kind of has that like beetle-y shape.
Yeah. For those of you listening to Spotify, I'm not going to try to explain it to you because it's a more complex Aeon. So
it's just kind of I can explain it.
Okay, go for it.
It's like complex in the center, and then like there's 4 curved lines going out like diagonally that kind of look like legs-ish to me. Anyways, looks like a beetle to me.
Great.
That's what I thought of.
Okay.
Not that it's important. Anyways. Anywho. So we're going to jump right in to Raoden's chapter.
Yes.
Which I was at Serena's chapter. So let me go back.
So chapter 10.
Yeah. Chapter 10. Too far. Hold on.
Page 1.
So sorry.
Page 125.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Yeah. Okay, Julio.
So chapter 10 starts off with Galadon telling Raoden, and he says, Sully, I don't think this is a good idea.
Yep. So they're at the courtyard.
Mm-hmm.
They're at the gate, and they're waiting to see if new Elantrians get thrown in. They said they went to the gate the day before, but Sheor's men were waiting for them, and Sheor's men chased them off.
Yes.
So they didn't get to see if any Elantrians were thrown in, didn't get to collect any more people. But they're back again, and Raoden has learned from his mistake, and they're kind of like hiding out
Yeah.
now. So that's where we're at.
Yeah, because the other gangs, after he recruited Marishi, started feeling threatened and feeling like he's going to start his own rival gang. And so they're just
Yes.
trying to prevent that, basically.
Yeah, which, I mean, they say it later in this chapter, but like he kind of is.
He does tell Galadon he's doing a lot more than that. Like, he doesn't want to just start a rival gang to fight these other gangs.
Yep.
But in essence, yeah, he's starting a fourth gang in Elantris.
Yep. It reminds us about how Elantrian's pain never goes away. So we get a little bit saying like his toe pained as he walked, as did his scraped hands, and it mentions he had picked up a bruise on his arm.
Right.
In addition to the hunger calling him, it calls it a phantom passion within. Didn't really find anything from that. I was like, is that alluding to something? It's not.
No.
It's just fancy writing by Brandon. So phantom passion, that's probably what I'm going to call the hunger from here on out.
A phantom passion within.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I love it. Galadon comes in, and again, he's telling Raoden this is a bad idea because he knows that Raoden is planning on, collecting more people.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm not so bored with death that I want to abandon it in favor of an existence of pure pain, Kolo.
Yeah, which I think that's just how Galadon thinks of the Hoid, is like, oh, they're just existing in pure pain.
Yes.
Which, like, kind of. Like,
I mean, we're gonna get into it later in the book when we get into your theory about them existing more in the spiritual realm than they do in the physical realm.
Yes. So
which I agree with, by the way, and I'm excited to read about it.
I'm excited for it too. We gotta wait though.
Yes.
We have to wait. It goes on. Raoden calls Galadon that Raoden basically says that Galadon has determined pessimism.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, Galadon's like, pessimism? Me? Sully, like, I'm a doula. We're the most lighthearted, easygoing people. But it's just like, Galadon, you are the most pessimistic person in the book, I think.
Here's the thing. I don't think Galadon was being flippant about it when he said that. Because Raoden did say, he's like, one day you're going to get over this determined pessimism and all of Elantris will collapse from the shock.
Yeah.
And Galadon's like, doulas are lighthearted, this and this and that. We look at each day with, and Raoden just starts walking away.
Ignoring him.
Ignoring it. And he's like, Sully, don't you dare leave when I'm defending myself. Like, I don't think Galadon was being flippant. I think he might
actually believe
that I don't know. Because doulas are characteristically lighthearted, easygoing.
I think it's just hilarious that he's like saying all this, but he's trying to like defend himself, which is the opposite of like easygoing and lightheartedness. Like, as he's being like, I'm lighthearted and easygoing, he's literally being like, I am lighthearted and easygoing. Don't you dare ignore me, Yes. Like, it's just so what's the word?
Such a contrast? No,
contradiction.
Yeah.
Kind of. There's another word for it that I can't think of, but
I got nothing.
Okay, cool. Moving on.
Gates open. 3 people get pushed in through the gate.
Yes.
And Raoden is like, 3? And we hear from Galadon, like, the Sheod is unpredictable, which he's already told us earlier in the book. Yeah. He says that sometimes days will go by and that at times he's seen as much as 5 people get thrown in a single day.
Roll the dice.
Yes.
Roll the dice, Raoden. So 3 get pushed in. Before that, I just want to mention that Marishi's shoes are great.
Oh, yeah.
And it says, a product to match his considerable ego. So good on Marishi there.
Good on Marishi.
It mentions that right before people get thrown in. So they get thrown in, but Raoden has a plan to get them.
What's the plan?
The plan is to put Galadon on a hook and dangle Galadon in front of Sheor's men.
That's pretty much the plan.
Yep.
Galadon doesn't know about the plan.
Not quite yet. No, sir. So,
And to be fair, I think Raoden had a plan, but his plan was for one person. Because
Sure.
Raoden came up with this plan on the spot. He says, "Don't worry, I have a plan." And Galadon is like, "Already?" And he says, "We have to move quickly. Any minute now, one of those three is going to take a step, and then our opening will be gone."
yep. Galadon swears, Dolakin, what are you going to do? And Raoden's like, oh, nothing.
You, however, basically tells Galadon that he's going to walk across the courtyard, right? Which then Galadon does.
Yeah.
And as soon as Sheor's men see Galadon, they're upset, you know, because they already stole Marishi.
Yep.
And so Sheor's men immediately start chasing down Galadon.
Yep.
Right before Raoden pushes him out, Galadon is like mumbling, like, "There's not enough dried meat in the world," or like, "I didn't get enough dried meat in order to like do this," because that's what Raoden bought him for 30 days, was this one small piece of dried meat.
It's pretty great. So Galadon starts getting chased by Sheor's men, and Raoden pretends to be all out of breath and runs up to the three and is like, which way did he go? Like he has the cure. Like we gotta go. And then runs in the direction of Sheor's territory.
Yes.
Essentially making the three Sheor's property, so the other two gangs can't do anything.
Yes. Aendon and Karada's, gangs just kind of sit and watch. Sheor's men are already gone chasing Galadon, and so these three are as safe as you can be in Elantris.
Yeah. So Raoden collects another three.
Yep.
That's pretty great. It was pretty. We'll see Raoden just like be really good at thinking on his feet and coming up with plans, like on the spot like this, and they always seem to work out.
Yep. It always turns out okay.
So
So we go in, and right after that, it just jumps into another scene, and it's Raoden asking these people what they can do.
yeah, I put a little insert here between the two scenes, and I said insert convo explaining that there is no cure. Because that's how he gets them to follow him. And so I'm sure he like stops, and the three of them are like, what's going on? And he has to, I don't imagine him just going like, hey, what do you do? Like I'm sure there's a conversation that happens, but Raoden then starts asking him what they can do. So he first asks the women, whose name is Mayair.
I mean, it's an Aeon. It's Aeon Aerie.
That's right.
Which is the same Aeon as Arelon.
So Mary?
So it would be May Aerie. Or Ma Aerie, probably.
Okay.
Ma Aerie.
I think we'll just call her Mary.
I think Mary's great.
Okay. Aerie is unity or cohesion.
Yes.
Aeon unity or Aeon.
Yep.
Aerie.
Same as Arelon.
She says, I was a simple housewife, no special skills to speak of. And Raoden snorted. He said, if you're like any other housewife, then you're probably more skilled than anyone here. And I just wrote that like Raoden respects women.
Yes.
He's
much more than his father does.
Yeah, this is the second time he's talked to a woman or has mentioned a woman probably being more skilled or stronger than the rest of them.
Yeah.
So good on you, Raoden. So he asks her if she can weave, and she's like, well, duh. Well, she doesn't say it like that, but that's how I say it. Well, duh. And he, probably
nods
like, that's good.
Yeah.
He moves on to the next guy.
Which is Rai Isle.
Yep.
Which is, we've already seen Aeon Rai,
Mhm.
which is in Duke Kelry's name,
Yep.
meaning wealth or affluence. And so he asks him what he was, and he says, a workman, my lord. I spent most of my time building on my master's plantation. And Raoden's like, Paulin bricks?
Yeah.
And he's like, at first, and he's like, I wanted to go be an apprentice. And this guy's a little older, so
Yeah.
he's a little surprised that he wants to apprentice, but he's like, it's something to hope for.
Yep.
He's like, so many people just don't have hope. So,
Yep. And then past that, he turns to the third man and he's like, okay, how about you? And our third newcomer is a bit more cautious,
yes,
you can
reserve.
say. So it's a well-muscled man. His nose looks like it'd been broken a dozen times, and he was kind of like, why should I listen to you? Sort of thing. Raoden just straight up is like, because I saved your life.
Fair.
Yeah, fair.
But this guy doesn't know that.
No. But fair. And so he kind of turns to Marishi and he's like, hey, Marishi, like, explain to this guy how I saved their life, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And Marishi jumps in and starts, like, telling this story very dramatically.
Yes. Marishi is an artist.
Yeah. I blue-lined this.
Oh.
And I said, if Marishi was on Roshar, he would have been a world singer.
Okay.
World singers are like the storytellers.
Yeah.
And so I could see this guy, because even Raoden, who knows exactly what happened, says even Raoden nearly believed he had done something incredibly noble.
Yeah.
So, like, Marishi's obviously very good at dramatically telling this story, and even almost convinced someone who
Was there.
you know?
Yeah.
So I'm saying probably a world singer if he was on Roshar.
Fantastic.
And then eventually the last guy is like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And kind of like, my name is Seolin.
Lord Spirit. He's addressing
Raoden.
Raoden as Lord Spirit.
Because that's how
Seolin.
Marishi addresses
Yes.
him. So
Lord Spirit. So we see in Seolin's name Aeon Seo, which is intelligence or learning.
Yep.
Which I thought would probably also have been one of the Aeons on the wall in Galadon's father's study.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Just a little note in there.
It says he was a soldier for Count Eondel's personal legion, which Count Eondel, not Aeondel.
Yes.
Count Eondel has Eon in it, which means willpower endurance, which we see in Sion.
Yes, and I actually don't know if it's like, I think the fact that Eon is in the word Sion is more of a coincidence. I think Sion is based off of Aeon Seo, and the end there is just coincidental, but it is kind of cool that they're both in there.
Yeah.
But yes, this is Aeon, say that 5 times fast, willpower and endurance, which what we come to learn of Eondel, that fits.
We'll actually get introduced to Count Eondel in the next chapter. So look forward to that.
Yes. Raoden then comes in and says, I know Eondel. He's a good man, a soldier himself before he was granted a title. You were probably trained well.
Yep. He says, I always found them to be men of honor, discipline, and skill, much like their leader. Giving Eondel a title is one of the few intelligent things Iodon has done recently.
Yes.
So I marked this and said that, like, not Galadon, Raoden's very good at making people feel important.
Yes.
And we see this here. Obviously, the guy's a soldier, so he's kind of puffing up his pride a little bit.
Yeah, this Seolin here says, we're the best soldiers in the country, sir. So you can tell he already has a little bit of pride.
Yeah.
Raoden comes in, almost knocks him down a peg first, and says, it isn't hard to best most of the soldiers in our poor country, Seolin.
Yeah.
But then he, like, picks him back up and raises him higher, and he says, however, I'd match Eondel's legion against soldiers from any nation.
Yep.
Which I just thought was fantastic.
Pretty good, and it works because not even, like, 2 paragraphs later, Seolin is like, I pledge you my sword.
Yeah.
Like, I'm your guy from now on.
Yeah, I made a note there basically saying, because right there he says, whatever your lordship needs, you know? And I made a note there that Seolin just made basically the same decision that Raoden did when he first entered Elantris, where Raoden, it talks about like this thing where Raoden just makes decisions sometimes, and he's like, I'm going to trust Galadon, you know? And I think Salen really just made that same decision, and he's like, okay, I'm going to trust Lord Spirit,
I agree. So he's like, I won't let you down, my guy. And
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what he was like.
that's what he was like. And
Okay.
Raoden's like, thanks, my G, Anyways, he turns to the other two and he's like, I got a project for you guys.
Yeah. He also ignores the fact that Salen doesn't have a sword to pledge. He's like, I pledge you my sword, and this guy just got thrown into Elantris in a burial shroud with a handful of food, and that's no sword to pledge. He can get some limp wood to swing around, I guess. Some mushy Elantrian wood.
Nasty. Anyways, so he turns to the other two and he's like, look up. You notice anything? And they're like, not a thing. He's like, exactly. We need a roof. Because they are in a building right now.
Yeah.
And it ends up being a Karathi church or chapel.
Yeah.
Yep.
We see that conversation a little bit later when Raoden is talking to Galadon. He's asked, like, I wonder what this building was, and Galadon's like, oh, it was a Karathi chapel.
Yeah.
And Raoden's like, how do you know that? And he's like, just has the feel. So it's like, no, that's not it.
Galadon, no. But before that, he turns back to Marishi. He's like, hey, explain to these guys how like life in Elantris is and how dangerous it is, sort of thing. And then he goes and he goes to the offerings that these three were sent into Elantris with, and he grabs a couple things. And these are just the seed corn
and some bread
for Galadon.
Mm-hmm.
But he grabs the seed corn, which we know he's planning on planting and growing food in Elantris. Crazy, I know, but it's what he's doing. And then Galadon comes back, having shaken off Sheor's men. He comes back, and Raoden gives him the piece of bread. Galadon thinks for a sec and then tears it in half and offers Raoden a piece.
Yes.
Which I think is a pretty big step in, like, well, okay, here's the thing. Galadon's always had self-control, but I don't think Galadon would have broke his meat stick in half and offered half of it to Raoden
a week ago.
So I think it's a big step for Galadon now seeing them as like together a team rather than just Galadon and Raoden,
Yeah. He comes back up, and his first thing he says, my Hama would love you, which I'm assuming is grandma.
It does mean grandma.
Okay. I didn't look it up, but I just assumed it meant grandma.
I was going to say, when I first read through these, I always assumed it meant like mom, like mama.
Okay.
But I was surprised to see that it meant grandma instead.
Okay.
But
yeah,
interesting.
I don't know why it's just felt like grandma to me. He says she always complained that I don't get enough exercise, and Raoden's like, oh man, you're back. I was beginning to worry. And Galadon like retorts back. He's like, I didn't see you worrying when you shoved me out into the courtyard. He says, seen worms on hooks treated more kindly, Colo.
That's pretty great. Pretty great dialogue from Galadon there. So Galadon offers Raoden piece of bread, who refuses it.
Yes.
Holds up a forestalling hand. I don't know.
I don't understand that. Like, I don't know, because Raoden's hungry.
Yeah. I'm wondering if Raoden just thinks it's going to be easier to live with the hunger if he never eats food.
Interesting.
Would be my guess.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see, because we know like quite a bit of food comes into Elantris later when Serene starts coming and bringing him stuff. I'm interested to see if Raoden eats any of that.
I don't know that we ever like see him eat any, but
do you think that would have the connection on why the door is choosing him as like a release valve?
Because he's abstaining from food?
Because he's not. Because instead of going to other stuff for sustenance, the door might see him as like, oh, he's relying on the door rather than other form. I don't know. It's a stretch.
It's a stretch.
I just thought of it real quick, and I was like,
and it's just like an interesting question to think about, like why
Raoden,
is being trying to be used as this release valve for the door. And again, I'm in my personal reading right now. I just barely finished The Well of Ascension, book 2 in the Mistborn Era 1, and I kind of had a similar question in regards to Vin being able to hear the poundings from the Well of Ascension,
right?
Gathering. Like it's kind of a similar thing where why is this power like choosing her?
Yeah.
Because we know that Ruin is trying to influence Vin to go to this Well of Ascension and release the power, but the power there is the power of preservation, not the power of Ruin.
Right.
And we know preservation is kind of trying to get Vin either to like use the power or like
just not release it,
not release the power. So why can Vin hear the power when nobody else can? So that's just kind of the same thing that we've got
People
going on
just
with.
Get picked.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of the same thing we've got going on with Raoden here, where they just kind of seem to be chosen by the investiture, and we don't really get an explanation of why.
Yeah. I'd be interested. It's something I actually want to dive into the Coppermind about and maybe find an answer for, but we don't have the time this episode.
No, we don't.
Because it's going to be a long episode. It's going to be 2 parts. Just putting that out there now. Anyways, so
I thought we were moving at a good clip. And I was like, oh, dude, maybe this episode we could get into 1 part. No, it's already been half an hour.
Yeah.
It's already been half an hour, and we're not even halfway through Raiden chapters. So 2 parts it is.
Yep. So they just go on to talk about how he got away. And then Galadon's kind of like, the other gangs think you're starting your own gang. And this is where Raoden says, like, that's the smallest part of it. Like, no one accomplishes anything in Elantris. They're either too busy squabbling over food or contemplating their misery. The city needs a sense of purpose.
Yep. And Galadon, again, is like, we're dead, Suli.
Yeah.
Like, what purpose can we have besides suffering?
And then here, I did a pink line. For anyone following along, pink lines for us are like really good lines. Like they're banger lines, which I thought this one deserved it. Says, that's exactly the problem. Everyone's convinced that their lives are over just because their hearts stop beating. I think that's just a banger line. I think it's a banger line. Anyways,
Galadon retorts back with, he retorts back with, that's usually a pretty good indication, Suli. Like,
he said it very dryly.
Yeah.
Like, Galadon was not entertaining this, like, artistic line at all. He was just like, yeah,
absolutely.
That kind of means you're dead, dummy. So, but I thought it was a really good line.
Yes, I actually have a pink line just in the chapter below that, or paragraph below that. He says, not in our case, my friend. We need to convince ourselves that we can go on. And then my pink line here is, the Shaod isn't causing all the pain here. I've seen people on the outside lose hope too, and their souls end up just as emaciated as those poor wretches in the square. Which isn't like a banger, like drop of a line, but like the artistic, like imagery of that.
I like it.
I like it a lot.
I like it. So Galadon's just like, dude, like these gangs are not gonna put up with your crap. And Raoden's just like, well, we'll be ready for them, sort of thing. And this is where we get the whole, like, what is this building? Galadon's like, oh, it was a church, Karathi church. Raoden's like, how do you know? And he goes, how's the feel, Suli?
Yeah.
I just wrote, lie, liar.
But it does raise a good question, and Raoden asked this question. Why would there be a Karathi church in Elantris?
Yeah.
Because the Elantrians were gods.
Yeah.
And there was a religion based around the Elantrians. Like, they were worshipped deities. Why on earth is there a Karathi chapel right in the middle of their city?
Yeah, so this is where we learn that Elantrians just, like, we're kind of chill. like they didn't mind if people worshipped them or whoever. They were just kind of there, to be honest, and they like didn't care if you worshipped Domai or them.
Yeah, it says the Elantrians didn't really care if the people worshipped them. They were secure in their divinity.
Yeah.
And that, I've got two notes here. One goes back to something you said earlier where we had talked about like whether the person that messed up with Delof's wife and turned her basically into a Rio Elantrian did it intentionally or not.
Yeah.
And I think this here adds to your point of probably not.
Probably not.
They just didn't, they were secure in their divinity. They didn't need to hate on the Derethi religion, priests. They didn't really concern themselves. So probably just an accident. The second note I made was kind of a connection into the court of gods, where the Elantrians were secure in their divinity and they didn't really care.
Mm-hmm.
And the court of gods on Nalthis, which is Warbreaker, can't be.
Yeah.
Because they need people to worship them, because if they don't receive breath every week, they die.
Yeah.
And so you see that kind of disparity here where you've got the Elantrians who are just immortal, like functionally immortal, and you've got the court of gods that will die, like perish in a week if they don't receive a breath. And so you see like how, even though they're like on the same level, you know, like Elantrians we know are a little higher, more highly invested than, but not by like substantial amounts, you know, not like
not crazy, just enough that Brandon points out that yes, Elantrians are more invested.
Yes,
but we do make the comparison between Elantrians and the Returned quite a bit, and I like that comparison where like Elantrians don't need anything from anyone, so they're just like chill and just living, and hey, if people want to worship us, that's fine. We're gods.
I'll make you food and you can worship me, and then we'll have this happy relationship.
But the Returned can't have that.
Yes. Yeah. And it's also interesting because the Returned don't have a lot to offer the way the Elantrians do. Like the Returned can do unact. You know, they can do unact of like grand magnificence. And so all these people worship them, give them breath in the hopes that one day they'll give up their one breath to like save them all.
Yeah.
Whereas the Elantrians don't need anything and can like do everything
and do give the people everything.
Yeah. And I think I'd rather be a worshiper on Cell, you know?
Yeah. Maybe just like not in the time of when the Rio.
Yeah. Just take that 10 years and just.
I would 100% rather be an Elantrian over a Returned.
Oh, I'd rather be an Elantrian for sure. But if I was just an average Joe Schmo.
Yeah.
But there's also like, would you rather be on Cell or Nalthis? Because on Nalthis, you could go get breath and you could have power even without being a Returned, you know?
Yeah, but I feel like the people that are doing that always seem to end up being kind of renegades or criminals or whatever.
Yeah.
Like your average Joe Schmo on Nalthis ain't going around collecting breaths.
Yeah, they've either got the breath they were born with or they're now a drab because they gave their breath up to the court of gods.
Yeah. So if I was a Joe Schmo, probably Cell still.
Yeah.
Unless I was like super ambitious and I was like willing to become a renegade and a criminal to collect breaths. Definitely easier to become invested on Nalthis than on Cell.
Yeah.
But you also have the chance, as long as you're born in Arelon or of Areline.
Yeah, when I say I'd rather be on Cell, I think I specifically talk. I don't want to be over in like Fjordell
or Fjordell. I don't know. Svorden seems like a pretty nice place.
Svorden, and we see a little bit more of Svordish technology.
They have shark fights
chapter or in Kraithen's chapter.
Yeah. But they have shark fights, bro. I think if I was on Cell and wasn't born or descended from Arelon, I'd probably want to live in Fjordell.
In Fjordell?
In Svorden. Yeah.
Okay.
Seems like a pretty nice place.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
All right, let's move on.
Back to the book.
This is where Raoden's kind of like poke in at Galadon again, being like, how, like, you seem very learned
Yeah.
You know quite a bit, my guy.
Yeah.
And
And Galadon just throws back at him. He's like, "You lived in Kai your whole life, Suli. Like, maybe you shouldn't be asking why I know this, and you should be asking why you don't know this."
it's a valid point.
Yeah.
It's a valid point. And Rayoden says, point taken. But Marishi's still explaining stuff to the other guys, so Rayoden takes a chance to be like, "Okay, Galadon, like, I want to go look at something. Like,
Yeah.
let's go."
And Galadon's like, "Is it gonna involve running?" And Rayoden, love this line. Only if they spot us.
Only if they see us. So they end up going to the university to look at Aendon,
Yes.
which is one of the gang leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Rayoden wants to take a look at Aendon because he wants to see if he recognizes him.
Yeah.
It was mentioned before that Aendon claims he was a baron on the outside, so Rayoden is kind of like, well, if he actually was, I'll recognize him. So they go, he wants to see who Aendon is.
And he does recognize him immediately.
Yes.
Like immediately. It says it was difficult to see. The Shaod brought profound changes, but Rayoden had a knack for faces. So it gives us brief description of Aendon. It says he's got a fake mustache on, which I thought was interesting. Like,
where did he get it?
I have no idea. I thought the same thing. I was like, what is he using for this fake mustache in Rio de Elantris?
And it says like it's like not on
a long drooping mustache.
Yeah. I guess later in the book it's sometimes like crooked.
Oh, really?
Whatever. And it's like what is he using as like his glue or anything? It's just like such a weird addition to this, because like, and it's also interesting because he's not the only gang leader with fake hair.
Yes, that's actually valid point.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've never noticed before. For those of you listening, I have aphantasia, which is an inability to create mental imagery. So I can't picture things in my mind. So
I've been baffled by this for years. I can picture things pretty much perfectly in my mind. Like, I can envision a scene and see everything in the scene, which he can't, and I can't wrap my head around.
Yeah, I can't do anything, which is one of the reasons that I love Brandon Sanderson's writing so much, is because he doesn't waste a lot of time painting a picture with his words. It's one of the reasons that I really struggle with J.R.R. Tolkien's writing, because he does. He paints a whole picture.
Bro spends 5 pages explaining a single room.
Yes.
Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, I've never read Lord of the Rings. I've attempted to multiple times. I've attempted to listen to it, but because he takes so much time explaining all this imagery that I can't see, it just hasn't done it for me. What Brandon Sanderson does is he gives you just a brief explanation of things and lets your imagination take it from there, which I love, because when I read books, what I'm looking for is character dialogue and like the feelings that characters are feeling internally and everything.
Yeah.
And so I have never noticed, like, listening to this book, I typically just like glaze over character descriptions because they don't do anything for me. And so I've never noticed before that he had a fake mustache until reading this.
Yeah, that's funny. It also says he has a sizable paunch.
Yes.
Which I thought was funny because in my head, sorry, you can't imagine this, but in my head, I always pictured Elantrians as like skinny.
Yeah.
Because it's always like, oh, they're always hungry, and that just fits with like someone who hasn't eaten a lot, which means skinny. So even though there's plenty of character descriptions where it's like, oh, Galadon's a bigger doula, I just never really pictured someone with a paunch.
Yeah.
You know, like a gut. But Aendon has a gut, and I thought that was hilarious. And now I can't unpicture an Elantrian with a little dad gut, you know?
You've just got this zombie walking around.
Yeah. With a
belly.
With a beer belly, you know? We learned that Rayoden recognizes him as the famous sculptor, thank you. Taeain.
Taeain.
which he uses the same Aeon for his fake name that's in his real name, which is Aang.
Yes, which I didn't realize before when we talked about it.
Yeah.
Because we talked about Aendin's Aeon being Aang, which is truth.
Or fact.
Or, yeah, fact. And we were like, that's so weird because he's living a lie.
Yeah.
You know? But
Same.
it's the same Aeon has his name.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. He's still living a lie, but same Aeon.
Yes.
At least he did that. Which is like,
Which is the same thing Raoden did. He just translated his.
yeah. So, I mean, maybe Aendin should have came in and been like, I'm Lord Truth.
Should he now? Should he have?
I'm just trying to bounce off what you said. All right, moving on.
It said the years in Elantris had not been kind to Taeain. The man was blubbering incoherently to his court of rejects.
Yeah.
I have that line also in pink.
That's a pretty great line. But honestly, basically everyone in Elantris at this point is a reject.
Yeah.
Galadon basically says, like, rumor says Aendin's insanity was like his decision.
Yeah.
It's his way of coping with being an Elantrian and being an Elantris. It's
Yeah.
going insane.
It says when he came in, he was like, there's no way that I can handle this sane. And then just like declared himself Baron Aendin and began giving orders.
Yeah. Honestly, like, it's an alpha move.
So Galadon explains all that to Raoden, and then Raoden's like, and people follow him? And Galadon's like, some do. He says, but maybe he was a baron on the outside.
Yeah.
And Raoden's like, he was.
He was a sculptor. I know that guy. Yeah, I saw him once.
Yeah, and then Galadon sorry.
Raoden wants to keep talking, but Galadon's like,
Yeah.
can we go like away from here? I don't want to be part of one of his mock executions.
Yeah.
And Raoden's like, mock? And I love this line from Galadon. He goes, everything's mock but the axe.
Yeah.
Which, like, honestly, brutal way to go in Elantris.
Yeah.
Because I can't imagine this axe being very sharp. And I don't know.
And the wood is definitely like soft.
Yeah, I don't know how, like, cued into actual beheadings were in, like, the past in real life. But it is very common for, like, an executioner to have to take multiple swings to actually behead someone. It's not just a clean, you see in, like, the movies where it's just like, whoosh, and it's done. Like, there's multiple accounts of it being kind of brutal.
Yeah, quick Harry Potter reference. You got nearly headless Nick, who was 17 times he was hit with an axe.
I thought it was more. In my head, I was thinking like 56.
Oh, maybe it was. I don't know. It's been a long time, but and still wasn't quite fully decapitated.
Yeah, so I can't imagine, because we know that the two ways to, like, quote unquote kill an Elantrian is burning them or beheading them.
Right.
But I can't imagine these mock beheadings actually beheading them, if that makes sense. Like, I feel like the Elantrians that have gone through these are probably closer, like, nearly headless Nick, where they are now just living in pain.
Yeah.
Rather than quote unquote dying, which I guess we never get a real confirmation that beheading an Elantrian actually kills them.
I feel like we do towards the end, because I feel like that's how Karada went before, right before Raoden like fixed everything.
Yeah.
I feel like Karada got beheaded and she didn't like revive with Elantris.
Okay.
So I feel like we do have that confirmation that like fully beheading an Elantrian will kill them.
Okay. I like that. Well, I don't like that, but like I like that explanation on the confirmation.
Anyway, Raoden's still asking Galadon, like, how do you know so much? And Galadon's response is, I talk to people. Which we've already talked a little bit about, of like, how does Galadon like know so much? How does Galadon know, the average lifespan of an Elantrian if he's only been here for what he claims is a few months,
Yeah.
which is actually at least 6 months. But this, he explains it right here. He says, I talk to people, Suli. That's where I get my information. Granted, the great majority of the city's people are Hoid, but there are enough conscious ones around to talk with.
Yep. They go on. They start walking back, and Raoden's thinking. He's trying to decide a plan of action if Andon ever were to come looking for him. So we see Raoden's kind of like always planning, almost. Like he's always like coming up with stuff. He's just a good planner.
Yeah.
I like it. There was a line here that I liked. I didn't mark it for whatever reason. But they're walking back and he's noticing like how the streets are all like uneven and slime covered. He goes, he was beginning to regard the dun-colored walls and grime as normal, which bothered him much more than the city's dirtiness ever had.
Oh, interesting.
I like that one.
Yeah.
Where like it being normal to him bothers him more than it actually just being dirty.
Yeah.
So I like that line.
Interesting. Galadon then asks, like, Suli, why did you want to see Aendon? You couldn't have known you'd recognize him. And Raoden responds like, oh, if he was a Baron, I would have recognized him immediately.
Yeah.
Because that's what Aendon had claimed, is that he was a Baron. So Raoden's like, yeah, if he was a Baron, I would have recognized him immediately. And this is what finally, like, clues Galadon in to, like, Raoden's
identity.
Thank you.
Yep. He's like, are you certain? And Raoden just nodded absently. Like,
Raoden's not thinking right now.
He's not thinking about what Galadon's actually asking him. He's not cluing into the fact that Galadon's about to figure out who he is.
Yeah.
But he's basically like, you're pretty good with aeons and everything, and you would have recognized him. And now that I think about it, isn't the aeon for spirit Aeon Reo?
And Raoden's like,
wow.
And then, and Raoden's like, yeah, it is.
And he's like, doesn't the King of Arelon have a son named Raoden?
He did.
So Galadon's like, and you're here. And you're really good at like taking charge of people and everything. You could say that. And on top of it all, you call yourself Spirit. Pretty suspicious, Galadon.
And Raoden's he's keyed into the conversation now, and he's clued into what's going on. He's like, I should have picked a different nickname, huh?
I love Raoden, dude.
Yeah.
He's funny, dude. Just like, Dolikin, boy, you're telling me you're the Crown Prince of Arelon?
And Raoden says, I was the Crown Prince of Arelon.
Sorry for like,
I'm dead, Kolo.
We like totally just read that straight off the page, going back and forth. But I love this piece of dialogue. Like, this was a fun piece of dialogue.
Yeah,
like,
But yeah, Raoden does say, I was the Crown Prince of Arelon, Galadon. I lost the title when I died. And that's like, I feel almost the first time that Raoden is like, I'm dead, Kolo.
Yeah, kind of giving in a little bit. Like, I died.
Yeah.
Because it suits his needs.
Yeah.
I think he probably goes back to being like, we're not dead. But it suited his needs here.
Oh, man.
He mentions how King Iadon did everything he could to keep Raoden off the throne.
Yeah.
Which, everything short of, like, assassination. Domai fixed that problem for him, eh?
Raoden tells him, like, my father didn't think I was fit to rule. And I love this line from Galadon.
Yes, I was just
like,
about to.
I'd be scared to see the man Iadon found fit to rule. Your father's an idiot. No offense intended.
Your father's an idiot. No offense intended. Love that line. Raoden's just like, none taken. Like, you'll keep my secret though, right? Like, if you wish.
And the reason he gives there, he's like, if I'm going to do any good here in Elantris, it's going to have to be because people want to follow me and respect me and like agree with my ideas, not because of like my pedigree, not because I have a title. So
Yep. And then we go on. Raoden starts poking at Galadon a little more. He's like, dude, you're just intelligent.
Yeah.
Like, you are a learned man. Like, now that you know my past, you have to tell me yours.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
And they walk in silence for a while after that. And then Galadon finally just comes in and he's like, I was a farmer.
Yeah, I was a farmer. I assume this is Galadon trying to figure out how much he could tell. And he decides he doesn't want to tell Raoden that his father was a Elantrian or any of that. So he goes with, I'm going to tell him about my time in Duladel.
Yeah.
Sort of thing.
Which would have been post-Riode.
Yep.
Galadon went back to Duladel and was a farmer for presumably probably like 9 years or so.
Well, I think he left before.
Oh, did he?
I think he left pre-Riode. His father dies.
You're right.
His father chooses as an Elantrian burial before the Riode.
Keep forgetting that.
So I'm assuming he probably left Elantris when his father chose a burial. So he was in Duladel when the Riode hit.
Okay.
And then got taken by the Sheod however many years later, is what I'm going to assume.
Yep.
So they talk a little bit.
Raoden's just kind of mulling over that idea of Galadon being a farmer, and he's like, I don't buy it. He's like, you're too learned to be a farmer. And Galadon's like, dude, some of like the most intelligent people I've met are farmers. And Raoden says, okay, intelligence is one thing. He's like, but you're educated. Like that's different than intelligence. Like, you know things.
Yeah, and Galadon goes on like, I had books. You know, books are a wonderful thing. A wise farmer had time to study, assuming he lives in a country such as Duladel, where men are free. Which is kind of a weird statement, because
Interesting.
we know in Erelon they don't have slaves or anything. Well, pre-Riode. They didn't have slaves, so you'd assume like people are free there as well.
Yeah, we know there's no slaves in Teod, and we know they've gone away from a serf-based system in Fjordell as well.
So it's almost like, I don't know where a man wouldn't be free.
Yeah.
Sort of thing. I think it's almost, I made the comparison of Duladel to the United States.
where we think we're more free than everybody else.
Yeah, because that is something like, if you're American, you're like, freedom, you know?
Yeah.
And it might just be that. Like, because they're the Republican, or not the Republican, the Republic of Duladel, or Duladen.
Yeah.
The Republic of Duladen.
The Duladen Republic.
Yeah. Where, like, I think they've gone away from, like, a king, like, royal family-based system.
Okay.
And it's more they have a council. So it's almost, I'm getting, like, American pride here in Galadon. Whereas, like,
interesting.
In Duladel, we're free, you know? That's what I put there.
I like it. And Raoden, it just says here that Raoden still felt like there was something more, something that he wasn't ready to share yet, but he doesn't push him more here.
Yeah, good intuition on Raoden's part there. There is something more.
Yeah.
And quite big.
Yep, but Raoden just says, all right, I believe you.
Yep. And then he realizes that he hasn't seen any children in Elantris.
Yes.
And he was like, yo, Galadon, like, where are the kiddos? Like, the Sheod takes everybody.
Yes.
And
Galadon then says, like, I've seen babes that were barely old enough to walk thrown in through those things.
Yes. Which begs the question. So we know that Karada takes the kids.
Yeah.
That is like her gang's whole thing, is like, we are taking the kids and we are protecting them. Do you think the gangs have had fights over kids? Because I can imagine, like, Sheor's men, the kid just took a step to the north. He's ours. But Karada not letting them.
Yeah, it's interesting because the other gangs are only interested in the offering. Yeah. And if a kid's coming in, you could probably get the offering away from them without fighting them too much, I guess. But I don't know.
I just can't imagine Karada taking that chance.
Yeah.
Because Sheor's men are they're crazy.
Yeah.
Like, they're not going to separate that in their minds, it seems. From what we've seen on screen, like, Sheor's men do not separate hurting the person and getting the sacrifice.
Yeah.
So, like, I'd almost imagine Karada, as soon as the kid's walking in,
just stepping up,
grabbing the kid, leaving the offering.
Yeah. which I feel like the other group would accept. I don't know.
Maybe I don't know. It's hard to think because I mean, with Shayor's men, I think they can accept them just leaving the sacrifice. It's hard to say what Aendon's men's mindset is on that.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
And it's also interesting that Galadon doesn't know what happens to the kids.
Yeah.
Because Raoden is like, I only see adults, there's kids here. And Galadon just says, Elantris is a harsh place, Sui. Like, children don't last very long here.
Yeah.
So it's weird that he doesn't know that Karada, like, takes them, So.
Yeah, it's hard to, like, how does she keep that a secret? Because it does seem like a secret.
Yeah.
It's hard to figure out how she would keep that a secret from people in Elantris. But
yeah, and I guess they're just not thinking about, like, people don't think about anything but themselves and the next bite of food that they're gonna put in there. As far as like Aendon's men and Shayor's men,
yeah,
they're not thinking about anything except the next bite of food that they're gonna be able to put in their mouths.
Yeah.
And so I think as soon as the food's gone, they're just not thinking about it anymore.
Okay, I can accept that. So they make it back to the chapel, the church.
Oh, one more note: there are Riode children, Hoed children as well.
Yeah,
And so there may be, Shayor's men are crippling some of these kids, and then she's still taking them anyway.
Yeah,
which is harsh to think
that's
about.
sad to think about.
All right, moving on.
They make it back to the chapel, and Raoden, there's a Sion in the chapel, just like floating around, and Raoden recognizes it. It's like, oh my gosh, that's my Sion. It's Ayin.
Yes.
And he holds out his hand, and Ayin floats to him. And he muses on whether it's because Ayin recognizes him or if it just recognizes the gesture, which I kind of like. I marked all of those things, and I was kind of like, so they don't go completely insane.
Like the Sions.
Yeah, they don't lose their entire cognitive function.
Yeah.
Because it mentions here, like, he bumps into a wall, hovers there as if like contemplating, and then turns and goes a different direction. So like it might be rudimentary, but they can still think.
Yeah.
Kind of. They just can't really interact or speak or any of that. But it's not like the Sions lose everything, it seems.
Right, which is really like very similar to a Deadeye. Yeah. Like they don't have much cognitive function, they don't speak, they don't like interact, they don't do all that, but they can walk. Yeah. And they know like where, like they know a direction, and they know enough to so they
can feel pain.
Yeah. It's really similar for me to Deadeyes.
You've made that comparison before, and I was like, I shot it down immediately, but I'm starting to see it more.
Yeah.
And I think it's a pretty good comparison. I think Deadeyes are still more like they can think more.
Yeah.
And like obviously spoilers for Rhythm of War or Wind and Truth.
Rhythm of War.
Where Deadeye does actually start to talk again.
Yeah.
So Deadeyes obviously can think more than like a Riode Sion.
Yeah, I feel like because Deadeyes, their issue is, the breaking of the connection of their Nile bond.
Yeah.
Whereas a Riode Sion is more a breaking of their connection to the door. I kind of feel like.
Yeah. It still both probably crack, or maybe crack's not a word, like break the spirit web.
Yeah.
Because we know that's kind of how the Riode works, is when Elantris was Elantris, the spirit web of everything that the door was fueling changed to depend on the door. And as soon as that door was cut off, their spirit web broke.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. And that's why it's all, that's why Elantrians are the way they are. That's why Elantris is the way they are. It is. So kind of same. It's almost as if their spirit web has broken in both instances. With the Deadeye, their spirit web connection to someone was broken, and it broke them.
Yes, because and it is, I think, the degree of like dependency, because
Mhm.
whatever the Sheod is makes that person dependent upon the door.
Yes.
Even if, we see in the Mistborn, series, a savant becoming dependent on their metal,
Yes.
but that takes time.
That takes time.
The Sheod, they are immediately dependent upon the door.
Which you can kind of say the same for Deadeye. Like, yes, it takes time for the Radiant to say all the ideals, but every Spren that's trying to bond is dependent on that Radiant for their cognitive functions. And
In the
physical realm.
Yes.
Which is still a connection that it would make on the spirit web. It would still be a dependency. So when that dependency is broken, it would break their spirit web.
Yes. Because my thing is like, before making that bond, before making the Nile bond, a Spren is still cognizant and aware and like thinking in the cognitive realm.
Yes.
And a Sion before the Riod hasn't made necessarily, I guess, like the dependency upon the door. And the same way as a Riod Elantrian, like before the Sheod hasn't made the dependency upon the door. But as soon as that dependency's made, they don't have access to the door. It's the same thing as a Nile bond being that dependency and then no longer having access.
Yeah, I think the Sions, their dependency, like their connection to the door, I don't think gets broken, but they still have the connection to whoever they're bonded with. And through them, once the Sheod takes them, there's a dependency on the door. And it's almost, I would say, like a chain reaction.
Okay.
But we also know that like Sions are powered by Aeon Door. Maybe not a dependency.
Powered by, like, Sions are splinters. So I don't know about powered by the door. They are the door.
Yeah, you're right.
We don't have time for this.
We don't. We're almost done with Radon's chapter. If you guys want us to dive into that specific concept more, let us know and we can maybe put it in an episode where it's not.
Put it in an episode where we have the time, or create a special episode about it. Let us know what you guys would like us to do. We don't have time to go any further down that rabbit hole right now.
Okay. Raoden goes on to talk about his Sion Ayin. He said, he used to be so wise. I never knew a creature, Sion or man, more thoughtful than he, which I just wrote fits because Ayin means wisdom.
Yeah.
So he's like, obviously the Sion Ayin is going to be wise.
Yeah, I thought that was just funny of Brandon to put that line in there in the first place. It was like, Ayin used to be so wise. I was like, okay.
Yeah, it ends the chapter with Raoden whispering, do you have something more?
Yes.
Okay,
it says, Raoden perhaps hoped that Ayin had been destroyed by the Sheod, as rumor said sometimes occurred. And that was very interesting to me. Like, do Aeons sometimes get destroyed by the Sheod instead of becoming a Riod, like Sion?
I would say no.
Okay.
Mostly because it's just rumor, and we know the people don't know anything about the Sions, really. I'd say the thing's just rumor. I don't think... Well, one, they can't be destroyed. They're pure investiture, pretty much.
Okay.
And part of...
For some reason, I had that line marked in blue.
Okay.
And I don't know why.
Well, it could just be alluding to the fact that...
It might have been tying into, like, Deadeye's.
Okay. That's fine. Anyways, I was just alluding to the fact that, like, there's, I think, 4 laws of investiture.
Yeah, we don't know the 4th.
Or the 3rd. Or maybe it's the 2nd. Anyways, one of them...
No,
Either way, one of the laws says, like, investiture can't be created or destroyed, only change.
Right.
Pretty much. Same thing as, like, energy in our world. And that, I'm pretty sure that's... it connects our laws of...
Physics?
Physics.
Is it the laws of physics?
I don't know. It connects it to certain laws in our
We
world.
probably sound dumb right now.
We sound very stupid right now. There's similarities to the laws of investiture that I think Chris comes up with them, to some laws about energy in our world. Either way, I don't think the Sion can be destroyed. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Laws of thermodynamics.
There it is. I wasn't pulling that out of my head.
We're idiots.
We are idiots.
Okay, moving on.
Moving on, Raoden ends the chapter with saying, "Oh, my dear friend, and I had thought the Sheod had been harsh to me."
Ouch.
Heart-wrenching.
Also, I didn't even mention it when we met him, but Saolin is one of my favorite characters.
Yes.
We come to love Saolin, and I was gonna mention that when we met him, and I didn't. So that happened in this chapter. We met Saolin. I love Saolin.
Well, I love Saolin too. So that was Raiden's chapter, and now we are going to get into our first segment of the episode. What did he say?
What did he say?
And this week, it's Jackson's turn.
Yep. So if this is your guys' first episode listening to us, stop and go listen to the other episodes.
Basically, we have a segment on our podcast called What Did He Say? This segment, we switch off weeks where one of us finds a Words of Brandon to ask the other person, and the other person's job is to guess how Brandon answered it.
Yes.
And we're keeping points. We've done horrendously. It's still 0-1.
Yes. Jake is at 1. Jax is at 0. Have not correctly guessed yet.
I have once.
Jake has 1.
It was, I think, the
very first one because I didn't realize we were going to be keeping points that much, and I gave you an easy one. And actually, I gave you another easy one. I'm expecting you to get to 2 this week.
The pressure is going to get to me, bro.
This comes from the Dragonsteel 2022 event. And the question is, if Wayne, the Lopin, and Vasher were all in the same room,
Okay.
who would Vasher punch first?
Wow. It's
You have a 50-50 shot, bro. Last
okay.
time, 2 weeks ago, I gave you basically a 2 in 3 chance, and you still got it wrong.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So let's think about this logically real quick.
all right. Run me through your thought process.
The Lopin kind of just says dumb crap all the time.
Okay.
Wayne says like smart crap in a stupid way,
Okay.
in my opinion.
All right.
I feel like Wayne is low-key very intelligent. He's just like a very, very eccentric person. I think Wayne's accents might break Vasher first.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm going to say Vasher punches Wayne first.
Wayne before the Lopin.
Yes.
0 points for Jacob this week.
Oh, we're never gonna get these right.
The score still stands 1 Jacob, 0 Jax. Questioner, if Wayne, the Lopin, and Vasher were all in the same room, who would Vasher punch first? Brandon Sanderson. Lopin. No filter. The difference between Wayne and Lopin is Wayne can read a room. Lopin's not so good at that.
Okay.
Sorry, bud.
No, I'm okay with that.
All right.
I should have seen the no filter on Lopin. I don't know. And maybe I'm probably biased because I recently was rereading Mistborn Era 2.
Okay.
And I was, I had a lot of Wayne
Yeah.
there. So I was probably just biased. Same thing as your thing.
Yeah. My thing last week where I guessed Vin because I'm just
You're in Mistborn. Yeah.
I'm in Mistborn, and so
Yeah.
it's just on the brain.
Darn. Okay.
Unfortunate.
Well, guys, this is going to be the end of part 1 of
Yep.
this episode. And we'll have part 2 up right away. So just go on and listen to that. See you there.